Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in and check out your boy, P Farm. Thinking right out here in the lab. I'm going to do little turn of things here. I was in my Egyptian book. You know, y'all like the lessons. Tuning in, I appreciate you. All right. But in my search for some information to go with this, I ran across some more information that will help me out. So I found this, my older book. Okay, signs and symbols of the primordial man. This information is priceless. So I done got down this rabbit hole. So I got about 15 pages, 8 pages of information from 208 to 215 of information that's ties in what we're doing, but it's good information. Remember, down the Zodiac rabbit hole, we're going to talk about the Zodiac. Who started it, how it got created. How about that? And then I'm going to take you through the steps of how they explained it. Good information. How about that? Let's go. Rightisms, 25 rules to live by. Long intro. 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission. Yeah, that's what I'm on. It's to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. You see where we're going with this? Let's get that together. So I asked the question, do you know you? You will when I get through. That's what I do. It's rhetorical, but you're not answering for yourself. Tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous, avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself and to my yacht. Be true. They got her in here too. They know about her. All right, let's go. This is chapter 10. I got going right to where I need to think or get the information I want. This starts at chapter 10, page 208 up to 215. That's where I'm going to stop. Let's go. Going to be a minute, so get comfortable, but get ready to learn something. This is good stuff. The Chaldeans, who were a college of priests connected with the Babylonians Empire, were celebrated for their extensive learning. Okay, it is said that they took their origin from Zoroaster, an Egyptian priest. He educated them. Pay attention. And the mysteries instituted were the same as those of the Egyptians at the time of Isis or Aset, Haru, and Asar. So they knew the story. That's our story. And like the Greeks, very few were ever initiated into all the secrets. That's what they called the Egyptian mystery system. Well, it was a mystery to them. They didn't know it. And it was only by passing the most terrible ordeal, initiation, that anyone could be permitted to learn them all. It wasn't easy, okay? Josephus, the Greek philosopher historian, as well as other historians, also agree with the above statement. Their first map, okay, of the celestial universe was in clay tablets, was depicted thus. This is how it looked. Remember, these are signs and symbols. Be careful with a fragile book. You see that, the first one? That's what the first Zodiac looked like. The circle with the 8 prongs on it. Then you see that how they took the circle away? It was being crafted. They were still working on it. Okay, there you go. So I just showed you the picture. And it depicted Thus, I just showed you, which is the same as the 7 nomes of Egypt. Egypt was originally divided into 7 nomes. This was the first division into nomes and represented what they call the 7 celestial glorious ones, or the little bear, okay, in the constellation in the sky, or the terrestrial, in a terrestrial form. In the stellar mythos, thus, they took the circle away and just had the 8 prongs out. Okay, I gave you a lesson about that. I got the wheel right here. I did the wheel, the right thinking wheel. That's what it looks like right here at the bottom, okay? Your boy, the Indians use it also, so it's been around a while. Again, signs and symbols from Primordial Man. This is all ancient. This ain't, no, you don't know about this. Trust me, that's what I'm bringing to your attention. It should be good information. You can get something out of here. I sure did. Good stuff right here. So, right here. Now afterwards, they added a central one, the one around which the 7 others revolve. Sound like the sun, don't it? In the celestial heaven. And the one who governed the 7 in the terrestrial. The great or the mighty prince who ruled over the other 7. Who could that be? They call it the sons of light. Whatever, but okay, that sounds like the sun. We trying to get there, but see what they're saying? But which they depicted how? By 8 divisions. Remember, we only got 8. 4, and then we broke it down. Watch this. So now the Chaldeans who followed this also, which can be proved and seen by their clay tablets. They use clay tablets, okay, to write everything down, where they show the heavens of 8 segments, with the diameter running from the 4 cardinal points, that way, the external circle, that's the circle God. Remember, the circle represents God. Why? No beginning, no ending. That's why everything you see ancient time, the dot in the circle, that dot is you. God is the circle. He encompasses everything. That was a concept from ancient times. Simple. So we didn't play a whole bunch of games since then, but this is one of the oldest concepts. Watch this. And now you got the external circle, of which they afterwards omitted. I mean, they took it out, and this is what it looks like. Without the circle. See the top right there? Okay. But the meaning is still the same. Oh, I'm beating my little book up. The meaning is still the same, but it was omitted. But it symbolized what? Which is the same as the Egyptian, Sumerians, Chaldeans, the Babylonians. In fact, obtain all their laws and learning from who? You ready? The Egyptians. And they call them Egyptian, but I would say commissions. Okay, Kemet, because before the Greeks got there, that's what we was called. The Greeks gave us the nickname the Egyptians. Like I gave my son the nickname Fathead. He got to live with that. We got to live with the Egyptian name. Okay, we Greek gave us Egyptian. We've been Egyptians ever since. But the code of what they called the Hammurabi, which they found by the Sumerians, copied the code of the Hammurabi. They're talking about this Hammurabi, the oldest right now. No, it was copied from the Egyptians and handed on to the Chaldeans from the Sumerians. Okay, Babylon. They came behind us. Remember, they invented the wheel. We didn't have a wheel. We had sleds. Moving on. Their old company of primordial gods was mentioned in the 7 tablets by the Sumerians that they got written of creation. Remember, it was hard to decipher the measuring letter. But by the time it got down to thousands of years, the Sumerians had it, the Babylonians had it, they created their own. That's what they call the chemic form, the tablets. That's what they understand. So they understood that first. And we're 8 in number, and they may be classed, watch this, sound familiar, as 4 pairs of opposites. Right, wrong, night, day. Watch this. And their old company coming to 8 in number and 4 pairs. Now, they're going to give you the names that they called them by. They even got the 4 sons Haru name wrong, but I ain't got a problem with that. That's another lesson, but most people wouldn't recognize that. I know, so I let it go. But the same as the Egyptians, for instance, was this. Abuzu and Ristar. That's Mumu and Tiamat. They tell a story about the Anunnakis, about the Sumerian, how Tiamat and other guy Mumu fight. Same thing with Ra and Apep. Same show. And you got Lakamu and Lakhumu and Lakhamu, male and female. They show you the difference, okay? Again, opposites. And then you got Ashar and Keslar, and they correspond to the Egyptians now. Nu and Nu. Remember, Nu is the watery abyss, and Nu is heaven, okay? He and Huet. Huet, that's the Egyptian god and goddess for what? Night and day. Kuk and Kuket means what? Balance and balance. Remember them? Remember? Excuse me, I'm getting excited. But yeah, they understand, etc. I got all that in God. We did that before. But later on, the Egyptians did what? They added 4 more and mapped out the heavens in 12 divisions. Each one getting 30 degrees in each one, 2.5 day cycles, 365. And it's proven that whatever your zodiac sign is, that's pretty much your character. And they already had that mapped out before we got here. That's the fascination I got with the zodiac right here. Watch. They mapped out the 12 signs of the zodiac. I'm going to give you each one too. I just gave that lesson, but this is from a whole ancient perspective, which would be fun. I just was looking for some information already. What's this? I don't went down the rabbit holes. Join me with this one. Let's go. The Chaldeans did the same. What's this? Okay, the Chaldeans did the same, and rather copied them, pretty much copied them. But their history of creation is a copy of the Egyptians. Also, the great battle between Haru. Haru is I. That's the individual. That's the spirit in the flesh. Remember, Christians, that's Christ. That's Jesus. That's all of us. Okay? Understand that. And Set is who? Again, your evil uncle who's trying to what? Destroy you. That's the moral fight that you have within yourself. In their underworld, which is called what? Hell. Physical right here. This dimension, this is hell. We can't get no lower. Torment. Everything that they claim in hell happens right here in the physical world. See, we're going to, it's the mirror. But understand, those gods were not 8 or 12 different gods, but all attributes of the one God. Remember, come from the one. And this is clearly shown in the Egyptian text. We knew that when they first divided the heavens into 4 divisions, they assigned 4 different powers or attributes to these, and 4 consorts the same, opposite, male and female. Nu, the abyss, y'all call it, Christians call it the abyss. But the Nu was the male concept, and then name for God, or the attribute of God in the male form, representing the great watery vapor, aka the abyss, from which this world consolidated primarily. Nu was the female counterpart. See where we're going with this? And usually the females in Egypt and the Greeks misunderstood that. All the females' last name pretty much in the T. So let you know it was female. Okay? Little tidbits that when those stole the information, stole our knowledge and misunderstood it, that's one of the things that they got wrong too. They changed everybody's names, women's names, everything. Hathor, Isis, Nephthys. No, again, that's they got wrong. But the female names always, the counterpart always with the T. He represents fire and heat of the sun. He Huet was his female counterpart. Again, they're showing you we understood the opposite. I told you Mayat represents duality, so you need 2 to make a whole. God is the only singular. That's why the one. That's why you in the flesh is represented by the one, the I, the individual. Moving on. If you take that 8 and that sideways, it represents infinity. Okay. All these are symbols that you can maneuver and understand and hopefully teach so they can get an understanding and get a better, clearer understanding of who they are in God for themselves. Moving on. They ain't got to believe nothing. They have their own understanding. They can manifest for themselves. You do right, God bless you. You do wrong, karma comes get you. All right. But you got Kuk. It represents nature at rest. Thus, we got the attributes of what? The two forms or first. Got it? Kuket, which is his female counterpart, means unrest. Okay? And we're divided further into 8 and then to 12. So the Chaldeans did the same thing. And each different name of the powers, aka the attributes of God, have been called separate and different gods and goddesses by those who should know better. And thus many Egyptologists have become mixed and confused because they have not traced all of these powers back to the original source, the one. And they perceive that by evolution and different names had to be added and given to the various powers which dawn upon them and which they recognize as their brains expanding consciousness, get more aware. They become expanding their knowledge and their observation of what's going on around them. And the only way that their true idea and meaning could be expressed, having only a rudimentary language at the time, they did the best they could with what they had. That's what they're saying. But the Babylonians, the Tiamat story, which waged war against Marduk, the champion of the people, was chosen by the gods and was held to be incarnation of evil. This monster, I told you, Apophis, can wrap around the world 3.5 times. We got that. Watch this. They got a monster that was 300 miles long and had a mouth 10 feet wide and moved in undulations of 6 miles high and was 100 feet round his body, corresponding to the great serpent of the Warramunga tribe of the Australian Aborigines. Everybody has a giant serpent. Watch. Which was a copy. Here they go. Which was what? A copy. Which was what? A copy of who? The Egyptians. But they called Apophis Set. The ones who didn't know, we know him as Apophis, okay? Set is the ego. Set ain't really the bad guy. Apophis wants everything shut down. Okay, that ain't what Set wants. So that ain't who it represents. Apophis represents darkness. Ra represents light. That's the endless fight that's never going to cease. Why? Ra can't be stopped and Apophis can't be stopped. Cycle. So when he battled with Haru, now the tales are the same. Story, same story, different people, different names. Same story. Each instance, and he is the same as the what? You ready? Y'all called the Leviathan. Okay? The big one, the Hebrews. The Leviathan of the Hebrews. The serpent of many twists and folds. Okay? That's in Job, whatever. I don't read the Roman numerals, can't stand them. Jeremiah 34. Isaiah 29. He was hunted for slaughter by who? Gabriel, and with the assistance of, must be the Hebrews, Yahweh, slain by him. Gabriel here is the counterpart of Marduk. Yahweh taking the place of who? Esau as the head of the gods. Same story. Although the Hebrews obtained their hell direct from the Egyptians. Let me say it again. The Hebrews got their direct from the Egyptians and their what? And they took their Leviathan to make him Apophis, same thing, from the Babylonians. So that's why it's not Apophis, it's the other guy from the Babylonians concept, same thing. But these later obtained it direct from who? The Egyptians. And as much, even the Babylonians took it from the Egyptians, and as much as early date. And we must not forget that the great serpent, there you go, my boy, Apophis of the dynastic and the solar worship time, meaning way before them, let's go further back, took its origins, and it was brought on from the pre-dynastic solar mythos, which represented Haru and Set, and which was the first fight between what? Light and darkness. Here, Haru represents Ra, light. Set represents Apophis, darkness. Same thing. Ignorant intelligence. Light, dark. Same thing. It ain't changed. the way they present it, the way they sell it, but it's still the same story. And guess what? It worked. I can tell you that. It still worked. Moving on. And when this earth was surrounded by the thick, watery abyss, the vapor, so that the sun rays, could not penetrate. That was Apophis covering the earth. Okay? And while it couldn't penetrate, so Set was the primary god of who? Darkness. Apophis, same thing. But stay with me. But soon as this vapor cooled down and the sun rays penetrated to the face of the earth, what happened? Then light superseded darkness. That's like a guy who believes something and a guy who knows something. As long as the one who know and around, the one who believe can have all the shine. But when the truth come up, he got to run away. That's the truth and the darkness concept. Sut was deposed and Haru became the primary light bearer. Sound familiar? Light bearer, son of light, sun worshiper. All that is all passed down. It's been same story told since forever. But when this was brought on in the dynastic times, we had, there you go, Ra took the place of Haru. And Sut, that of the great Apophis, there you go. I just broke it down for you. All I got to do is read it. I should just do that and let you hear the story. But I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. But these put it their way. I understand that, so I'm going to give you their version. And the fight was what? Day and night. AKA, right and wrong, intellect, ignorance, whatever you want to call it. Ra overcoming what? The darkness of the night when? Each night. When he go into the doo-wop, him and Apophis gonna dance. And they dance for 12 hours, okay? Until what? He gets out of Apophis' grip and come out and shine on us and do his thing and go back and do it again. That's the cycle of life. It's been going that way since forever. One can't be without the other. They are arch enemies and they make each other whole. They can't, like the yin without the yang. Yin ain't no good without the yang. The yang don't count without the yang. So that's the concept. And they break it down infinite ways. Still the same concept. Feel me? I'm about to wrap this up. I see the clock. But the seven-headed, you keep hearing that number 7. I gave you that number. I gave that breakdown for the mystical 7. But the seven-headed dragon and beast of the book of Revelation, I don't know about that. The Bible thumpers, this is your area. Like the seven-headed basilisk serpent mentioned in the Pestis Sophia, that's another book, the Babylonian Chaldeans, have their origin in the seven-headed serpent. Again, the Nagas, the Indians tell you about that. Protecting Buddha, the seven-headed serpent, okay? We got the five-headed Haru, Aharu, and Kepri. We got this different concept, still serpent always around, okay? And which is mentioned in the pyramid text. There we go. And even in the Revelation 19, you got horses are referred to which had tails like unto serpents. The hell? And had heads, which is a copy of the monster which inhabited one of the pylons in the doo-wop. Okay? The Babylonians made offerings to the dead in the same way as the Egyptians did. We still do. I got here because I went to the funeral yesterday, and it's still being done today. The same technique that they learned ancient times. Now the rest of this is biblical burial concept that I'm going to say, I call it a bunch of fluff, but we did that. Okay, let me get down here with something. Okay, now, nope. I hate when I do that. I got a few minutes. Let me get this out of the way. They still served the concept of the Egyptians. In fact, all nations did. And Dr. W. Budge, speaking of the offerings, okay, taking to the tombs of the dead in this book of the gods of the Egyptians, okay? They call it the book of the dead. We call it book coming forth by day. But on page 86, it says what? It is possible that certain simple folk, ordinary people, may have been led to believe, that because meat offerings and the drink offerings in the abundance were taken to the tombs, the deceased must naturally partake of them. The priest was getting the food. And it is more than probable that the Egyptians, in a semi-savage state, made such offerings. Why? Because they believed them necessary for the dead. They thought you had to feed the cow. But this practice was simply a what? Continuation of the customs of the earliest Egyptians, Cometians, earliest man, the pygmies, okay, called dwarf, but those are God's little people. But they was and still is amongst them, and still the native tribe all over the world practice the same offerings to the spirits of the departed. Gravesite, everybody put the flower. Okay, we don't bring food, but they still got people who would partake in that concept. That's all, and perpetuate the system, the concept, so that what the spirits may not come back. They thought if you just feed the spirit, it'd come back and do them harm. Belief over knowing, superstitious, meaning you're not going to be your best person. Why? You had that fear locked in because you don't know. So you believe something that may not ever happen. 90% of our thoughts come from belief, never happen. It's all in the mind. But these nations still what? Believe. Generations still believe as their forefathers, watch this, that's tradition, did, that the spirit may return to do them good or harm. And so you find you have spirit houses, which what? Which house food placed inside to perpetuate them, protect them from the evil spirits. This was the original. And the Egyptians worked out from the first two things, that is, you call the ka, which is the spirit, and the ba, which is the soul. They're the same thing? No. They tell you that. The ka is the spirit, and the soul, the individual. That's you. Okay? And watch this. The ka of your spirit after death separates what? From the ba. To go what? Be judged. Or the soul and went before the divine creator to what? Be judged. That's you. That's you. Watch this. The ka ain't got nothing to do with that. Ka could kill that. Ain't got nothing to do with him. The ba is you. You better be ready to be judged. And if satisfied, meaning you pass the scales of Mayat, now you are able to return your soul, and you now could travel after throughout the universe. Meaning you can astral plane. When you go to sleep, you astral project yourself into your mind. When you leave this body, the spirit is able to do that. Why? Because you're conscious of who you are. That's the concept. The body dies. The conscious and the spirit goes on. One's going to be judged, and the other got to wait and see what happens. If he failed, I got to go ahead and get another body. Wow, he didn't make it. Moving on. And after it's justified, your spirit body was called the Sahu, an enlightened one. You passed the test. All these things took a long time to work out, and many Egyptologists have really overlooked this one fact, but also their names as well as others which were afterwards added. These offerings are still carried on in the Christian church today, but by elevation, they are now called offerings. What's this? To the church. You do it, Easter offering, we just had that. Then you're going to have the Christmas offering every year. One has only to go into a Roman Catholic church, and I've been in there. I say the same thing. They got no niggas in heaven according to them, and a black person in there. That's my little jokey joke, okay? And my man, John Henry Clark, said it best. You would think with all that stuff going on, they wouldn't let one little brown person get up in there. So that was his way of being nice. So there ain't none of those black people up in there. Okay, everything's lily white. But to see it in abundance, their offerings to the saints, or to walk into the churchyard of Orthodox Christians, and you still see the flowers, etc., on the graves of the dead. We celebrate it every year. I ain't ever went and visit my father's gravesite. Ain't plan on it. But other people do that on an annual basis. Go there and put the flowers. And, I've seen it, witnessed it. Don't partake in it. Don't practice it. I have a problem with it. It ain't my thing. But the remnants of the evolution of past ages, the offerings of the spirit, that's been going on since forever. And the foregoing will answer Dr. Budge's question as when the spiritual body begins its existence. When did the body exist? Unfortunately, no satisfactory answer can be at this present given. That's right. for the next text discovered supplies the necessary information. What no text gives it. Why? Because it exists long before the spirit, way before the body comes into existence. That's the concept. And I'm going to stop right here because I got too much time. I got some more stuff for you, but I hope you start learning my point. I'm getting there. You got to keep following on to watch this play out and get the whole lesson in its entirety. It's a good one. Glad you tuned in. I appreciate you. And in closing, right thinkers, may you all live to be 100, me 100 minus a day. So I never let my right thinkers who started to realize how important the Zodiac and knowing themselves have passed away. I'll be right back.